What are some of the other real benefits of exercise here, whether it's in terms of staving off side effects of medication or cognitive functioning?
Simon Rosenbaum, who is a one of the world leaders in exercise and mental health. I was lucky enough to have him as a mentor and PhD supervisor, and he's a good friend. But I
Nice.
really like the way that he describes this. So I'm not taking credit for this, but he talks about the progression of physical activity and mental health research. You can kind of divide it into the role exercise plays in prevention and the role exercise has in management. And then you can talk about prevention and management of both physical health and prevention and management of mental health. So if I was to draw it out on a quad, you can talk about prevention, treatment, and mental health and physical health, because all this research is now coming out about the benefits of physical activity and movement and fitness on preventing certain mental health conditions. And I know you're going to have other academics and researchers on your podcast, people like Felipe Shook, who's doing a lot of work in depression and exercise. And there's some amazing work around that and how exercise can actually, reduce the risk of depression. There's protective factors for it. And there's some other research around this with other mental health conditions like psychosis and how we, process anxiety as well. And also then in terms of prevention, there's work that we've done actually in my previous role at the Keeping the Body and Mind program, which is just in Southeast Sydney, where we actually were able to prevent weight gain through the medication effects. We were able to prevent that by embedding a lifestyle program that started at the same time people started antipsychotic medication. So when people took their first pill, they also came in and did an exercise session with me and spoke to a dietitian about their nutrition and joined a social sports group that we used to run within the mental health service. And we found that by integrating that physical health program, and it was physical health and lifestyle, but it was also life skills, because remember, a lot of people, when they first diagnosed with psychosis, they're generally, 14 to 25 generally. So they're learning all the life skills to be independent and teaching them important things like how to structure your day and how to, use cooking equipment and how to read food labels. All these things are so important for our physical health, but we often take them for granted. And if you're not getting the right sort of training and support around that. So we really made sure Keeping the Body Mind was a lifestyle and life skills program. But to come back to your original question, yes, there's evidence that if you embed lifestyle interventions using physical activity and nutrition, that we can prevent the weight gain. Another key thing there is smoking cessation. We can't factor about how important cigarette smoking or tobacco smoking is. It's highly prevalent among people with severe mental illness, about 6 times. I've read some interesting statistic. I think it's around 80, don't quote me on this, but there was something like 80% of the cigarettes that are smoked today are smoked by people with a severe mental illness. So this is in Australia. So I'll find the data that maybe you could share to that under the link. But generally what that data was saying is that there's a downward trajectory of cigarette smoke or tobacco smoking in the general population. But people with mental illness, there's no change. We're still seeing really high amounts of smoking. So exercise works from a physical health preventative point of view, and there's this evidence around it being preventative to or protective for some mental health conditions. And then the stuff that we know very well, and where all the large meta-analyses are coming out now about the beneficial effects of exercise on symptoms. So if we think about mental health symptoms, we know that exercise can improve psychiatric symptoms. So if we look in psychosis, it can improve positive and negative symptoms. But there's also a lot of work that's been done on the comorbid symptoms of conditions like psychosis and high rates of depression and anxiety, and that can be improved through exercise as well. So then you mentioned the cognitive symptoms. So there's all this great work. Dr. Joe Firth in Manchester is a big driver of the cognitive effects of exercise. I highly recommend people look into some of his work. He's done both sort of randomized trials, but also then gathered all that evidence from meta-analyses and shown that exercise has great effects on cognition, which we know is also an issue. Cognitive decline or cognitive symptoms in people with severe mental illness is a big issue. So exercise can have an effect there as well. Simon's work on exercise in trauma, he's been going into refugee communities in Bangladesh, at Cox's Bazar, where they're talking about some of the populations who are most exposed to trauma, and exercise is one of their key outlets. It's one of the things that helps them manage their what they refer to as tension, but it's their word to describe the stress and trauma that they experience on a daily basis. So there's all these beneficial effects of exercise, both on a local and global level. And then, like we touched on briefly, the physical health disparities in severe mental illness are so great. And exercise, we know in the general population, can improve physical health. Well, it's no different in mental illness. We can see reductions in cardiovascular risk. People improve their blood pressure, their weights, central obesity, all these great indicators. And their function improves as well, like as we said, in terms of if we improve physical activity levels. Yeah, I think, does that summarize the evidence? I hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you've done it better than I ever could, Oscar. Yeah, that's definitely a great summary. And I want to touch on the cognitive side of things, because you mentioned, I think it's Joe Firth from Manchester, and I came across one of his systematic reviews and meta-analyses showing the improvements that exercise has on cognitive functioning, but in particular social, cognition, attention, and working memory, which are particular cognitive functions that are decreased, if you like, in individuals with schizophrenia and psychotic disorders, and are also cognitive functions that are hard to target with things like antipsychotic medication. So to me, it really shows again the value that exercise can uniquely have in these populations that perhaps other therapies or other treatments can't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's great promise there for interventions that combine certain treatment modalities. I know psychologists, at least the psychologists and mental health workers that I used to work with within my mental health treatment team, they used to provide cognitive remediation as a group program that they did for a lot of our young people, and that was really effective. And we looked at trying to embed exercise as part of that cognitive remediation group, so you get the beneficial effects of the exercise and then some of those more fine cognitive skills tests that you do in the room setting. So I think there's great scope for combining exercise within psychological interventions like that to address cognition as one of those factors.